Good day. I'm very nervous, I apologize. Right from the start, it's my first presentation I have slides for, so I hope to share a lot of very practical things with you. So my name is Olga Dakhina, and I'm not a teacher. I'm in the mom's capacity at this forum. And also, when I started speaking English with my daughter, when I started thinking about it, I realized that there is a lot of information about early education on the internet, but it's kind of scattered everywhere in different Instagram, Vkontakte, blogs, and when you actually need some resources on a certain topic or you need to find something quickly, it's quite difficult to do. So I actually decided to organize it somehow logically. So that's a project I'm working on right now, My English Kit. It's a portal where I try to provide all these practical tips and materials in a logical, structured way. And I'm going to refer to it quite a lot, but I hope that's what I'm doing actually for all of us bilingual moms or mom who's just trying to provide good resources, not necessarily raise a bilingual kid, but provide some materials for additional activities at home for kids who are learning Russian, who are learning English. So I also, while working on this project, I kind of look around a lot and I talk to a lot of people, and I'm like a researcher about this topic, so I definitely notice there are some strange and very interesting things happening. So this idea of early English acquisition for children is extremely popular right now. And I decided to ask a question, why is this happening? And I think there are two very interesting phenomena which probably contributed to that. So first of all, 2 years ago on the Russian TV, on the Russia channel, there was this show about talented children, and there was this girl, Bella Devatkina, who was just 4 at the time, probably everyone knows about her. She spoke 7 languages, and she spoke French, English, German, Chinese, Arabic, and some other exotic language, Spanish fluently. And it turned out that her mother simply invites native speakers of those languages, and she spends several hours in every language just playing. So she was 4 and she showed great results. And I think a lot of people decided to follow her example, and it's kind of created this boom. And at the same time, there is this program developed by a teacher from Samara, Maria Eliseeva. She created the turnkey solution for parents, My English Baby course. You buy it and you have a set of videos, set of texts, and set of games for every day. Very easy, you just follow it, and a lot of children show great results. I heard a lot of positive reviews. It's possible to do even if you are not advanced. And she has 327,000 followers on Instagram. She has her own community. She shares tips, and it's also created this buzz around early English, I think. So, have you heard this term Ray doesn't like? Angla Mama. Can you raise your hand if you know what Angla Mama is? Not so many people. So, Angla moms, Angla dads, Angla parents, that's this term. So I think I'm Angla mom, although I don't like this term very much myself. So if it's a purely Russian family, but you raise a child in a second language, artificially, so to speak, you become an Angla mama. On my website, I collect information about families who speak English at home, so that other people could find neighbors and possibly have meetings together and do something, find English friends. And right now, I'm not promoting it very much, but we already now have 190 families. So they started collecting this only half a year ago. So you can imagine this phenomenon is very big. And there are more than 50 accounts on Instagram which have the word Angla Mama in them. What is going on? So definitely there is a very big trend. And it looks like I fell for it as well. I didn't think about raising a bilingual child from birth. I'm an interpreter, so I speak English. But this idea never came to my mind. But when my daughter was 1 and 4 years old. I met this girl. I had a conversation club for parents, but you could come with kids. And this girl, Alona, she came to the club, and she was not a teacher. She was not an interpreter like me. Her work was not connected with English, but she was speaking English to her child naturally, and it worked well. And it seemed natural, and the daughter was okay with that. And I thought, wow, that's interesting, that's cool. Why not follow her example? And I gradually started. So when Sasha was 1 and 6, I bought some English books. We started listening to some nursery rhymes. We went to a family English club, so I kind of was doing it. I started reading about raising bilingual. I met Maria Belivantsova, and I was doing it gradually, but it didn't work the way I wanted, because officially I got into some research to raise a bilingual kid in this meaning that both languages are more or less at the same level. You need to have 30% of exposure of a kid's waking time should be spent in this language. And I didn't have as much, because I've had a lot of psychological barriers. First of all, perfectionism, as Maria said. I didn't know how these small things, kitchen utensils or parts of the toys are called. Some things in the playground, I just didn't know how they're called, and I'm not very good at researching in Google, and it takes a lot of time. Then it didn't sound very natural. So I like this idea, but still, like you were asking, we live in Russia, my husband is Russian, and some other problems, they were quite difficult. So then I decided that for me, the mom which is not very, very organized, one parent, one language approach would work best. So if it's myself speaking only English, then it's kind of clear. I don't need to jump from one language to the second one all the time, and then the child will get more exposure. She goes to the Russian kindergarten since last year, so we don't spend the whole day together. So to have more exposure, I just need to be strict. And when Sasha was turned 9, I switched to one parent, one language. To do that, I organized a chat where we write reports to each other with other parents, saying, did we succeed today? If we didn't succeed speaking only English, we were paying fines to charity later on, and like trying to understand psychologically what was the problem. I was explaining to myself why I switched, what was the problem today, what was the problem yesterday, what was the problem, the parents of my husband, or some people on the ground, or in the playground who looked strangely, or I didn't need I missed some word. And it worked, so I switched to Opol but Sasha was answering in Russian. But when we went on holiday in May abroad, and I asked my husband to help me, and for 2 or 3 days also speak English with her, it was magical result, because Sasha was surrounded by English, and so she started answering in English, and it worked, and I was amazed how much she actually knows, and she started speaking. So right now she's 3 and 5. She's switching between 2 languages, and she can construct more difficult sentences, ask questions, she can reason in English. And I was going to show you a video, but it was not ready by tomorrow, but on my Facebook page you can see some examples. They're not very perfect, but she does speak English. Of course, I have a lot of much more to do, but I would say that for now she is bilingual. And I'll share some resources which helped me and which can help you if you want to follow my example. I'm talking only about raising a bilingual kid when you speak to a child. Of course, there are many other ways, but I'll stick to this one. The first great resource you need, that's time, of course. Time to think it through, to understand why you're doing it, to maybe read some supportive books about that. Then time to prepare some things which will help you to create English environment at home, because it may seem easy. You just speak to a child, you just comment on all the actions you are doing in English, but it's not enough. You need to have books, you need to have some songs, you need to have some maybe glossaries, additional materials which will help you to speak better baby and toddler English. And of course you need this 30% of waking time of a child in English, so you need to really be into this project and have the time available for doing that, of course. Second, psychological report resource, which is very important. I think it's second resource is psychological support. And as far as I know, Ray, for example, he managed by himself, but I needed some help from other, he's a man, and women like talking to women, and so I found some great support from other moms. And so I recommend you some, here are some chats and groups where you can, so the first two ones you pay for the membership, and there are some other people, moderators, which can answer your questions, which can provide supportive materials. Yes, a lot of people are skeptical about them, but materials are great, and those which I recommend, I think that people who work there, they know what they're doing, and they provide great advice. And there is a great chat in Telegram with 400 parents and teachers with wonderful resources and links and advice they share. There are numerous of Instagram marathon you can follow if you just want to, because for me it was very important to get into this routine. So when I switched into this one parent, one language method, it was like, yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm consistent, yes, like Maria was saying, consistency is very important. So a marathon is something like you're doing small thing every day and you get into this routine. That can help. Then there is my Facebook group, родителям об английском для детей. A lot of parents who do this ask questions and get support there. Great English speaking resource, Facebook group, Raising Bilingual and Multilingual Children. There you can read stories about families from all over the world. For example, like mom speaks Arabic, dad speaks Norwegian. They live in France and their child goes to English school. So that's a hell. It's much more difficult than what we are doing here in Russia. And they share their stories and they explain how they are doing it and what are possible approach to such situations. And also I collected some best blogs of Russian bilingual parents and some interviews with them. You can find the link here. We are transferring our website to the new platform, so this link may not work. If you type old.myenglishkid, it will work. For the next 7 days, I think it will work through old. This small beginning. Next thing. Okay, you're speaking at home. That's great, but it's not enough. As I've said, I think you need to create this whole atmosphere, authentic English environment at home, books, cartoons, films, audio. And here are some of my recommendations. Buying English books, quite expensive in Moscow. Two best bookshops, Reload and Bookbridge, are great. Huge variety, but quite expensive. So I recommend finding, contacting Instagram small groups. They export from abroad and they have very good prices. So on this link you can find an article, the whole article on where to buy English books with specific examples of shops you can go to. And some recommendations how to order, for example, from Book People and some other British stores which sell books in sets. So the price per book becomes very, very cheap. Also in this section on my website, some lists of best books for those who are starting, some reviews of a series of books and so on. Next thing, cartoons and films. If you are just only starting, I recommend YouTube channel Super Simple Songs, Wow English TV, Mother Goose Club. If the child is older, a lot of parents subscribe to Netflix, a lot of authentic educational programs and films, and some recommendation on cartoons as well here. If the child is very small and screen time is not recommended, you can start with audio. Great resource, storynori.com with free downloadable stories. And check out Vkontakte as well for sure. Audio files in Vkontakte, that's real treasure. You'll find anything, just need to know how to search. As well as books in PDF in Vkontakte. Of course, I'm not supposed to say this, but you can find any book there. So that's your resource. And applications for on the telephone, Audible or Script, which is much cheaper and also has a lot of English books, just 700 rubles per month, and you'll have all the children's literature in your smartphone. Next thing, if you've done it at home, maybe you are brave enough to venture outside your home and you want to show your kid that there is some life outside. Speaking to mom. Moscow is, I'm from St. Petersburg, but I'm quite happy that I moved to Moscow because you can find so many things here. So first of all, of course, I recommend finding some family who probably lives next to you and with whom you can organize play dates and children become friends. And of course, it's I know from experience, very difficult to make two Russian children when they meet speaking English, even if they speak English with their parents. But like I know when they go to Maria's club and they are together, they met there, so they participate in some English activities. Then when they meet, their language of communication is English. Then a good idea is to find maybe some expat families, visit language theaters. Now there are 3 of them. Just some time ago there wasn't only Flying Bananas, but now there is more. And we have a fiche on the website where we have information about different guided tours and organize English family picnics. Some resources for kids who already go to school. So we were brainstorming the list of possible things you can do when your child grows, but English lessons at school are too boring for him, of course. So in Moscow there are opportunities, although it's still not enough, and we need to keep brainstorming about this. And the last thing, what I recommend you to do if you decide to go down this road is to create a bilingual action plan. That's an idea proposed by Naomi Steiner in her great book, 7 Steps to Raising a Bilingual Child. It's available in Russian as well. She recommends to set out some specific resources and activities you're going to implement, for example, for the coming 6 months. You need to spend some time to prepare answers to all these questions. What are you going to do and what materials you have at hand? And then if you've done this work, then even if you are in doubt, even when you are tired, you already have these books, you already have this, I don't know, something planned, some activities where you go, they're planned, and it will be much more difficult to say, no, I'm tired, I give up. So that's a great result. And basically, that's it. Of course, I have a lot more to share, but probably I never realized that I have a lot of information. I need to speak at some other forum as well.
You said that she started speaking English at the age of 1 year and 6 months. Right?
So 1 and 6, we just started reading some books and listening to songs. So that's environment we started to create. But she started speaking in English when she was 3 and 1.
Okay, so she started speaking English earlier?
No, and Russian when she was 2 and 4.
My name is Marina. I just wanted to share that I started talking to my son when he was 5 months old. And it was a struggle for me, but I just decided to go down the journey, and to my surprise, well, I wanted to give up like 107 times, because it was very weird, like talking to a child every single day, just one way, no feedback. And then I just okay, I just give myself a few more months and then I'm done. But it just happened one day when he was 2 years and 2 months, I think. And it was like, boom. Like one day he would just say, Mommy, give me red block, give me yellow block, because he liked building a tower with blocks. And it was like, oh my God, I was jumping. My husband, he was like, are you crazy? I was like, no, I'm not, because I just put so much effort into just what happened right now. And since that, and he started English. It was his language. It was his first language. He started speaking in English first. Our grannies, they were shocked. They were like, okay, what are we gonna do now? Are you going to translate? I said, no, I'm not going to. You just talk. You just talk to him the way you've been talking, and he will reply to you one day. And yeah, and then he just started separating the languages, switching between the languages. And right now, it's the other way around. His Russian is way better than English, of course, because he attends Russian kindergarten, unfortunately. But yeah, this is the way it is. It's, to my surprise, his first language was English. He started speaking in English first. So yeah. Yeah, thank you so much.
I really liked the way you answered the grannies. Keep talking to him and one day he might reply to you. So bilingualism, yeah, as a way to treat family issues, yeah.
I don't have questions, but I just want to say thank you, Olga, for this project, because I saw when she started this project and she supports me every day in my way also, and it's really good idea, was a really good idea to start, and it's yes, mom's English at first, and now I see this journey and I see this presentation and I need this presentation. And thank you very much for your support and for everything.
And we have one more question over there.
Yes, I am a mother with almost 10 years experience of raising a bilingual child, and I don't speak English with my daughter. And I will participate in later in a discussion, but I really want to thank Olga for collecting all these resources for English language environment, these books, cartoons and different programs, because this is very important. This is what can really make a difference. Because for me, speaking my daughter English was unnatural. And I was reading books every day. We were watching cartoons. We were listening to the stories really a lot. I arranged a communication in a different way because I was just able to make lessons with a native speaker, but it was just 3 days per week. So all the time it was an English language environment, kind of artificial one. Yes, we say it artificial because it's not real communication, but it really helps a lot. So thank you very much for what you're doing.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Yes, you have 1 minute.
Can I ask a question? It's not a comment. Okay. The question would be, how do you feel about, the emotional, state when you speak with your kid, or maybe the transition, like how you felt when you started speaking English and the emotional connection through the language to your kid, and how how the feeling evolved?
Maybe I didn't have this problem with emotions too much because I stayed quite late and I had a lot of cuddle time and I said a lot of tender things in Russian already. So it was like I felt like it's a project and it can benefit my child a lot and it's great. And I felt inside myself very big motivation to do that. And still sometimes, I am not 100% opal right now, and I do sing Russian lullabies, and we do still some conversations in Russian, so I don't have a big problem with expressing my emotions in general. And I remember I wanted to say it and I didn't have opportunity to say it before. I felt very good motivation because first of all I realized that I had this problem in my profession with my English. I needed to advance somehow. I needed to work, I still do. I wanted to work on my English, and I realized that this is a great opportunity to expand my vocabulary, just to read more authentic books, and I enjoy it a lot. So in general, for me, it's very beneficial for me as well, and that's why I believe in it. And when I have some, maybe concerns about not being able to express all the nuances of emotions, I still have a very big goal, and it doesn't stop me.
Also I have a question about the pointing. So do you point, for example, if you are playing with your daughter, so do you point, this one is yellow, just focus on her, because, for example, when you're talking, I mean, a small one, yes? I mean, about small one. And when you're talking about, for example, shapes and colors, you just point this one yellow, this one pink, and so on and so on. Do you point, or it's like natural speak, the same like Russian, without pointing, without anything? And the second question about, third language, about French language or others language. What do you think about this one?
About naming things somehow expressly. I'm not a teacher, and I realized I did CELTA in July because I felt that I need to be more like a teacher in this process, but I'm for the more natural conversations, and this Opal works for me very well because I did try to use all the scripts and like games. I pushed myself so much, but it doesn't work for me. I'm not very creative, so I can't prepare a lot of craft materials and then use specific expressions for learning something. It didn't work for me. For me, it works just to live in this language. And the second language, yeah, after I saw great results, I felt, oh, that's amazing. Kids are like sponges, really. I need to... And I also want to work on my French, my second language, and I decided that we'll go to the French kindergarten or French school named after Alexandre Dumas, but maybe a little bit later. So I want to use this experience. But here I'm also lazy mom. I just want to send her to school so that she acquires this language there. But still I want to support it because I want to communicate with teachers, with other parents, and I want to read books with her. So I want to use it as my benefit as well, but I don't want to do it myself. There was a question from the gentleman.
Unfortunately, we are short of time. Yes, it's coffee time.